Doom Eternal was easily one of my favourite games I've played so far this year. It was fast-paced, difficult, but enjoyable at the same time. It was amazing. So I just wanted to kind of do a little dive into how I played the game, what I experienced and whatnot. I really enjoyed it. I think the level design was really well done. I think that the soundtrack absolutely popped off. And honestly, I just really enjoyed the gunplay. One small thing I wasn't as much of a fan of for a bit was how my melee felt weaker. Until I found the Blood Punch, which got a bit of getting used to, but overall I really enjoyed it. I might have played in a harder difficulty this time around, I think. I'm honestly not sure, and you don't get an achievement for every difficulty at the end of the game. But either way, I still had a phenomenal time after I got used to it. Got the double Blood Punch charge at the very end, which was really nice and a saving grace for that final boss fight. That was probably one of the toughest boss fights I've had so far, and I've played a decent bit of Elden Ring. Nothing will ever come close to the Valiant Gargoyles. I think it's just from the sheer amount of enemies that get thrown at you and the massive health pool of each body part of that thing. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was phenomenal. The soundtrack is a standout, and I am so annoyed by the history of that thing and why I can't get it on Spotify. Which is something I did want to talk about, which is I only just learned about it, which is a shame because it happened a few years back. But Mick Gordon was absolutely screwed over by ID Software, particularly Marty, what's his name? I've forgotten his surname already, but he's the one of the directors at ID Software, if I'm correct. And he essentially ignored Mick Gordon's advice and ultimately decided to try and make Mick the scapegoat, which is absolutely scummy, underhanded, and it's an embarrassment he is still on the team. Now that does bring me to talk about Doom the Dark Ages. Will I be buying it? Probably yes. Will I still be supporting ID Software with that purchase? Unfortunately so. Do I hate ID Software? No. I hate Marty and his role in it, and his ego and his arrogance and his childlike behaviour. I think it is scummy, and someone in that sort of role should be much more professional. Ultimately, another thing I am also worried about for Doom the Dark Ages is the soundtrack. Mick Gordon has done a phenomenal job, and we have seen from the OST they tried to release by Chad something again. Mick Gordon's the only name that I've really properly memorised from this. But Chad's mix was quite unprofessional. It seemed he had no idea what he was doing, and ID Software couldn't recognise that either until fans were absolutely outraged by the quality. And I'm still outraged I just can't get the Doom Eternal OST on Spotify. Don't know how I'm going to get that, but yeah, it is disappointing. I just have to throw some pretty good covers on. So that's at least some middle ground, but still, I would have loved the whole soundtrack. But yeah, so that's kind of the bummer that I found out after beating the game, which was a shame because I really enjoyed it. It ran really well. It was a really high quality game in my opinion. And honestly, I'm just really looking forward to Doom of the Dark Ages now. That's easily now one of my most anticipated games for this year. I think we made a tier list a while back on the AFK podcast, which I'm part of. I don't really like linking things, but if you want to go check that out, go check it out. It's pretty fun. If you like me yapping here, we yap for like an hour straight, three of us. So there you go, multiple opinions. But yeah, that's easily one of my highest anticipated games. Overall, Doom Eternal was an easy 9 out of 10 for me. Unfortunately, the drama with it, and I do think that the final mission dragged on a little bit, and there was that one whole mission which was just kind of kill a few enemies, walk around, collect a piece of paper. It was just kind of an exposition dump. It was fine though, I guess. I'm just used to Doom being high octane action, so yeah. However, I did find myself using all the guns a lot more, with the more effectiveness against certain enemy types being explained to me instead of having to work them out. I think the weapon upgrades in this game were also really cool. Unfortunately, there were a few stinkers, like the microwave beam. There was also the rocket explosion control thing, where you can choose when it explodes, which I didn't use in either game. I think it's a pretty dead ability. There's probably some use for it, I just didn't find mine. I much prefer the lock-on or just using the rocket launcher as a regular rocket launcher. I think something like a cluster might have been cooler, but oh well, beggars can't be choosers. Overall, it was a fantastic game, and I highly recommend it to anyone who's considering it. Play Doom 2016 first, just so you have those two different games. They're both equally great. And yeah, that's about it. See you around.